Welcome to the stream. That was two songs. We got Bomber, was the last one, from Titan Souls. And the other one is from Artonelico 2, exec underscore Sphilia / dot. One of the hymnos of that game. And all the hymnos have weird names. Is that how it goes? How's it going? Let's see. 300% volume. Yeah, we got it there. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this message because I don't need it anymore. What I need right now is this. The splits. That's what we're going to need. So chat, this is gonna be a premiere. I made this 2 days ago. It took me like 5 hours something. So it's not optimized at all. This is at best a low tab, and at worst just playing the game with save states. So yeah, it's not gonna be completely crazy. It's just gonna be kind of a good idea of what an ideal run would be. Now, again, I didn't take the best on every single level, so we might see some red splits. Or not necessarily red, but like losing time, especially on the first level. And maybe on the lesbian level, we'll see. Just because I wanted to keep myself sane when I was doing this. We'll explain those in more detail when we get to that. But the main idea here is that this is going to be it's a human restricted TIS, an HRT, and it's kind of you know, a TIS that shows what would be the best time for humans if they actually go for all the risky things and they get everything first try. Again, with some exceptions, because I suck, but that's fine. I do have an estimate for this, but I'm actually gonna hold on that. Just for you to know, this is my world record. My PB of the game, 1:19:55. With music, we're gonna do this with music, by the way. If you're interested in the no music time, you just discount around something between 4 and 6 minutes to the final result. It doesn't really change anything, apart from a silent game. It doesn't change strats, the meta is the same. So I don't really care about it. So let's go for it. Let me do a local recording. I guess my intro is not on the local recording. That sucks a little bit. Well, whatever. Alright, here we go, chat. Need to pay attention to start the timer. So we start the timer on the new file. So around there. So, Spega time loss on the first level. Why is this? Because when we're doing a TIS, the game requires you to do a brand new file. So I'm going to deactivate options here, which is animations, nothing else. I press an extra B there, it's kind of funny, but whatever. So I'm not gonna lose time on that. So we're probably gonna be on red. Or maybe not, I'm not sure. It's not like my split of the first level is too good. And yeah, then we're just gonna attack some stuff. You know, you can get that guy either on 2 shots or on 1 shot. I mean, I'm sorry, on 3 shots. We got the 2-shot one because it's more optimal. You can't really decide on that. The game decides for you. Actually not losing time, look at that. Just introductory level. Not a whole lot going on. Then on Sammy, this is the first RNG. Where the RNG is actually important in the game. There is a tank that can decide to do 2 things. And to avoid that, most of the time we're gonna attack this tank with my tank. Okay, this way my tank has lower HP. So when I put it here, the other tank, which is the one that is close to the HQ right here, has a bigger probability of attacking it. Doesn't really matter for the HRT, but it matters on runs. Because this level is kind of a, if you don't do that strat, it's kind of a 2/3 of the time you get it. Which is bad. You don't want to lose a third of your runs on the second level. Because you're losing like IRL time when you are grinding. But with this strat, it's like 80% or more. Forget to split there. Fine. Probably like 85 is not, if not even 90. So it's super optimal if you're grinding this game. On the whole scheme. This level also has a little bit of RNG. Usually never happens, but sometimes you get bad tank configurations. Or flat, sometimes Flag gets too lucky and he gets too high damage on your transport copter. We're not gonna see any of that, of course, because we use save states. We're doing a nice house here for the soldier right here, so he can capture the HQ later. So you see this transport copter on 5. That's actually a bad roll for us. If it rolls another big damage again, it destroys it. In this case, it doesn't matter because that's the time that moved last. So you see, a lot of things have to go wrong for you to fail that mission. Usually it doesn't happen. Next one, though, might be the first big RNG bottleneck. Now, since it's so early, you don't really care too much. You just reset if you don't get it. You know, we don't save for this, save and load. But basically in here, what we need to do is, or rather what we need to get no Chai copters. So you see copters here are approaching my units. A Chai copter is a defensive copter that decides to be outside of the range of your units. It's a 10% chance per copter, okay? If you get one single Chai copter or a single tank, Chai tank, like that one, not like that one, but that one can be Chai, then you're gonna spend some extra time on this mission. Because you won't be able to kill things, all the things on this turn. Like we're showing right here. Things are pretty tight on this mission.
Mission complete.
So yeah, but there's backups for that, in case you get a Chai something. Usually involves doing a power with max, or expending an extra turn. Both cases are kind of bad, but you can decide to continue a run with that. Let's attack's pretty straightforward. We get a transport copter, we're gonna transport or mech. Believe it or not, this mission can actually fail. There is a tiny bit of RNG. I think it's like an... How much is it? Like a 1% chance or something like that? You need to get 2 Chai infantry. So Chai infantry, I don't remember, I think it's also 10%. Don't quite remember, but if these 2 infantries decide to be Chai and don't attack this thing, one of the anti-airs might attack it. Now you can actually react if only one of them are Chai, and then you can do a superpower, or a power rather, with Sammy, so she survives one anti-air. Freya is here. What are you doing there? What you brought to me? No. This is a mission that cannot fail. There are backups. The only thing that can be weird here is sometimes this infantry decides to don't move. In that case, you use the recon to kill it, plus the tank. And the recon here is to prevent other units from going there. So on a perfect run, like an actual TIS, you wouldn't move the recon. because you would get this pattern where things just don't go towards the lab. Now, on a human restricted, I am doing those strats anyways, because this is the idea here is you're getting a runner, a human runner, that is going for the safe things. Some of the safe things, not all of those. The ones that are easy to react, and you only lose a couple seconds, but you still get everything first try, you know? Because the idea of this is to be reasonable, okay? Like what a reasonable runner would do. You just wouldn't do, you know, like it doesn't make sense for a runner to save 2 seconds for, you know, losing like hundreds of hours IRL, because you're just not gonna get that run, like realistically. So we're losing some of those seconds. This mission is also straightforward. Not with that attitude? Yeah, I mean, of course. How you doing, Monchep? Here we take this base, very convenient base on this mission. We're just gonna use this rocket to kill it. So an actual TIS has a faster strat here, involving an artillery. You take that on 1 turn left, less, with an artillery and the rockets. But that's only faster if you have superhuman menu, which we don't have here. So we just can't do that. And I measure it with the best menu ever, and it's still slower if you're using human menus. In a similar fashion here, we're gonna capture an airport and destroy the vibe immediately, thanks to max extra firepower on direct units. So this is a good time to talk about why we're using Japanese. So there's 2 reasons. One, Japanese faster, about I think it's like 23 seconds or something like that on text. There is actually some unskippable text in this game. 2 main things. One thing is the very last cutscene. Our current timing method, which could change in the future, but as it is right now, we need to match the last cutscene. And there is a bunch, most of the text can be skipped immediately, but there is a bunch of them that the game shows you all the characters before you skip. It's like the important parts of the cutscene. And so those ones add up for some time. And the other thing is here. So pay attention to the next mission. When I open this flag, there's text there. That text cannot be skipped. You need to see the entire thing. And so every single mission has different text, and that adds up for Japanese and for other languages, with Japanese being the fastest. The other reason is kind of escapes the spirit of the HRT, but it's still there, is saving and loading is faster in Japanese because you can skip the title menu faster. So even though a perfect run won't get to that ever, to get to a perfect run, you would use the most optimal version, right, on your attempts. So here there's an 81, I think, % of success here. This guy that is hidden on the forest is gonna capture this thing. This can fail. 9% that it fails is when there's an artillery that was built on one of those 2 bases on the upper part. If it's on range, it's gonna attack. Most of the time. Sometimes it's gonna misfire. And that accounts for the 81% instead of 80%. I actually don't save on this mission on my runs, because it's very early. I just resave if I don't get it. And it's a good percent. Same with Seal Scramble. Seal Scramble is at 60% for a good tank. You want to get a tank that doesn't interrupt your strat. And here we're gonna see one of the things that will appear a lot in the run, using recons to our advantage. While Recon, you know, casually, it's usually a unit that you don't use a whole lot. You know, it's only strong against infantry and things like that. In most scenarios, you're not on fog of war, so usually players prefer to save the money for other things. But on the speed run, it's crazy because these things move 8 spaces on roads, at least. But there's a lot of roads, and so these are like the fastest way to get to the other side most of the time. And so we can use them to body block. And by the way, this tank going up, that is the good pattern. The other pattern is when it goes to the right. And that pattern is bad. We don't want that. You can choose to either save and load, reset the run, if you get that pattern, or do a different strat, which is lower than this. That works with the other pattern as well. So here we're gonna body block with Recon and APC. We're also gonna damage that artillery. If the artillery is on 2 on this level, you're gonna get an extra turn. If it's on 1, you are just gonna finish here. Ray is trying to find a spot. Listen, I'm gonna move my controller so you have more space. How about that? Does that work for you? Don't attack my pencil, please. Okay, and so here we're gonna go to the RTA route. The RTA route goes for the biggest RNG bottlenecks first. That way it's more optimal in terms of IRL time of runners, because you get resets faster if a run doesn't make it. So Toy Box has a big RNG bottleneck. It actually has 2. The first one is at 90% of success, so it's pretty good, which is this guy crossing the mountain. That guy right there. If they decide to don't cross the mountain, you're fucked. And then the second one is this tank doing exactly 8 damage. If you do 7 damage, the guy won't retreat. If you do 8 damage, sometimes the guy also doesn't retreat. So it's kind of a mess. And this thing is extremely fine-tuned to work. There are some backups here and there for bad movement, because there's other bad movements on other infantry that can happen. But that part right there is completely fine-tuned. You have to get it. I mean, look at the sheer amount of enemies we have here.
Mission complete.
Now, the one extremely risky thing that this hypothetical runner is doing is not saving. Saving is about 4 seconds or so every time you save. So that is the biggest risk this run is taking. Not saving the RNG bottlenecks. And yeah, similar to Silo Scramble, here we're using a Recon and an APC to just reach the HQ. There's a little bit of RNG here. You're gonna see this APC from Latch take the HQ. That's something that happens sometimes, and then we're gonna put the Recon here to prevent infantry from coming from my infantry. And here's the thing, so APCs have a 50% chance of escaping from damage. Okay, so every turn you have your Recon here, the APC has a 50-50 of going away, which kind of makes this strat pretty safe.
Mission complete.
Because you have 2 turns, you can always have an extra turn. You have 2 turns for the APC to move. So it usually works. But if it doesn't move for 2 turns, then you're fucked. Okay? So I actually don't save on that level as well. I just go for the 1/4. This one, so thanks to another player on the Discord who got the idea of actually killing some enemies here instead of just going for the tank. Apparently you get a lot of extra movement and camera movement with Latch because of those enemies right there. You know, the camera has to pan down all the way, and there's a lot of enemies that will kill your units, and that's just enough time. So this thing, killing things, actually saves like 7 seconds, even though you spend a bunch of time killing. Just less units for Latch to move. So in this game you can do something I call B scrolling. When you hold B on an empty tile, you can move the camera extremely fast. And so sometimes it's faster to move with that for the next unit instead of using unit list. So unit list, or I guess what will be the name, L swap, R swap, is you press a button to advance to an imaginary, well, it's not imaginary, the game holds a list of your units, and you can go from one to another when you press this button. Usually the most optimal way to give orders to units, but sometimes, like here, when you have too many units, it's slow, okay? So there's a lot of instances where we have to go manually between different units. The amount of goals, it's crazy. Okay, 2-week test. Or 2-week rest. This thing, so... yeah, this mission... kind of a joke. But you can actually fail it. So the strategy here is you don't do anything. Calling is Luigi. He just wins without doing anything. But... it can fail. So the thing that needs to happen here is someone needs to take your HQ. So every single unit has different percentages or different AIs. Some of them, a lot of them, but not all of them, have one of the AIs is like go towards enemy HQ, which involves just getting in the same tile. So we want that. We want a unit to cover our HQ, so the infantry cannot capture it. Now, yeah, it seems trivial because there's so many units. Someone's gonna have that RNG, right? No. I've lost runs on this because no one gets the RNG. Very low percent, but it happens. And I've seen that more than once. Like 3 times probably in runs. So it can happen. And on this run actually almost happened. Because the HQ ended up being captured by a unit that doesn't even have the AI, but just happened to land there. I've been trying to develop some backups for that, like building a guy on a specific time. The problem with that is that doesn't necessarily change the RNG, and doesn't really assure that a unit will remain on your HQ. Plus, it messes the AI of a lot of units. So you see, you take a look at the left, I mean at the right, there is this tank and this mid tank that are frozen on cities. That's a kind of AI. You actually really want that. That's smart AI. If I build something, those will attack, will push. So I actually don't want to build anything, so those remain frozen. And as you can see, rockets took my HQ, which I believe is not actually an AI, but it just got stuck there because I'm lucky. Oh, and by the way, I have no way to change the RNG here, so if this doesn't work on the TIS, I need to go back to the previous level to change the RNG. Yeah, I actually lost time. Look at that. Or didn't lost time, but it wasn't a goal because it's so hard to get a correct pattern on that. And now lesbian mission. This is the hardest mission in the game, probably. Don't be surprised if we lose time here. Because I spent so much on this. But still, it's just so hard to get something to work. So it took me like 5 hours to do this thing. An entire hour of that was just this mission. And there's 25 missions in the game. It's crazy. But yeah, Sonya versus Latch. You want to bottleneck things in the middle. And then just attack everything with indirect fire. And there's a lot of fixed movement you have to do at the beginning. And then tons, and I mean tons, of reaction strats. In terms of what to attack first, what to kill first, what to kill last, how to kill it, react to indirect fire of Latch, her mechs, and things like that. And also when to commit at the end in order to push. Because if you push too early, things might go wrong, but if you push too late, you might lose an opportunity of a faster level. So day 1 and 2 is kind of set up. We will attack some stuff, but it's mostly set up. We're setting that recon and that APC down there to lure fire from indirects. And you'll see the first bottleneck here is made by the tanks. The second one will be made by one of the mechs on the other side. So this is a good moment. We can talk about how RNG is handled in this game, similar to Fire Emblem games. You can manipulate RNG and how it changes, but not really on an RTA run. So the things that change RNG are diagonals. Every time you make a perfect diagonal, the game rolls RNG to see if the arrow goes like this or like this. You know, like which path we choose. So it rolls RNG once. So that's one way you can advance RNG. And the other way is opening the commander menu. If you open the commander menu, you will advance one step on RNG, which is handy when you're using save and loading. Save and loading also advances once. When you load, the RNG will advance one step. And the RNG you have will be saved. So it's always the same result, pretty much, after the first save. And the other thing, and the real thing that prevents us from completely manipulating, is every time you attack, when you are on the menu of choosing a target, RNG will advance one step per frame. And that's crazy. Like that makes it impossible for us to completely manipulate RNG. That is the main reason why it's impossible to do a completely manipulated run, RTA speaking. So yeah, I want to keep things close to my bottleneck. Like for example, this Neo tank here. That 3 Neo tank won't kill my mech. Same with the recon on the other side. A recon on 3 is very handy because it will stay there. If it's a recon on 2, it will move away because units on less than 3 HP will enter repair mode, which means they're gonna attempt to either join another unit or go to a city in order to repair. So I want to keep that recon there for now. Well, for a little bit. But now I'm gonna try to push and change some things. So you will eventually destroy it. Like if you don't destroy it on a specific turn, you're not saving an attack from later. This was probably the hardest part, because he's trying to decide when you're gonna push. And one of the big problems is these indirects down there. So that rocket is on repair mode. That's why I escaped instead of attacking my recon. And yeah, indirects have this AI that they will always escape if they're in range of attack, unless they have something to attack. And that's why we put the APC and the recon there, so they have something to attack. Or unless they are on repair mode. So here I put in my recon as a bait there, so we can attack this artillery later. Otherwise it would escape, because here's something. Enemies are cheaters. They will always see your stuff if your stuff is not hidden, even on Fog of War.
Mission complete.
Okay? So they will see that recon. Ooh, nice. Holy shit. Alright, never mind. I thought I was losing time there. Amazing. Turns out decision making takes the most time there. Yeah, they only won't see your stuff if they are on forests or reefs. But otherwise they know where your stuff is. And they will be able to attack it without a recon if they have a rockets or something. Because they are cheaters. This is the first mission where you actually wait a lot during enemy turn. You just don't do anything. You can stretch your arms or whatever. It's a good point to rest. And yeah, we want to destroy these cannons. The mission is to get our bombers as fast as possible to them. And this extra artillery, you can actually destroy the pipes without an extra artillery. Oh, but before that, we damaged one cannon here, sacrificing this tank. That's because only doing like 1 damage is enough for a bomber to take this on 1. Bombers do 98 damage on, you know, like cannons and things like that, pipes. So you always need something else, or a commander that has a firepower increase. Sadly, Sensei, even being an airborne master, doesn't have a firepower increase on bombers, only on copters. And the extra artillery here is that we can destroy this with just 1 and the tank, but we want an extra tile for one of our bombers here. So that tile will be occupied by a mid-tank if we don't do an extra artillery. And that extra tile is very important for these to work RTA like safely. You can actually just skip it, but then you're rolling a dice on one of the mech. That mech right there can decide to destroy your run. Whereas with this strat, it cannot happen. Also with this strat, the mid tank remains there, meaning there's gonna be less damage from other. That means less animations. In this game, you can choose which country, and those are separate speed. No, this game is it's like everyone against Black Hole. Black Hole are like the baddies here, the gray units. It's like a space invader that wants to take over the world. So on the previous game, a lot of the countries, you only use Orange Star for the most part. And there's conflict between the different countries. Whereas here, everyone is like, okay, the real baddies are Black Hole, we're gonna try to spare or ignore our problems for now, against this bigger enemy. And so you go through different phases with the different countries against Black Hole. So you see, it's basically you get like 4 different campaigns, but it's only one campaign, but they are on a certain order. You go from Orange Star, then Blue Moon or Yellow Comet, and we actually alternate a lot of those missions, and then finally Green Earth. And on a lot of missions, you get commanders from the other countries helping, so you can choose different commanders and different combinations, which is super cool. Because it makes routing super fun, and just casually is such an amazing feature. Something I always love about this game. Like here, for example, you can choose who is going to fight. And we're gonna go with a weird strat. So this is a modern strat, adapted from Bigus Dingus strats. For speedrunning. It's Sensei strats, artilleries. And this is something I developed, the Sami strat. This is a reaction strat using Sami for this battleship right there. That battleship, so here it doesn't matter because we get the best RNG immediately because it's an HRT. But usually that battleship can have 4 RNGs. And depending on what it does, you do different things with this soldier of Sami. Why Sami? Because she's the only one that has an extra movement on landers. On Orange Star. And you actually need that extra movement for something, one of the AIs, the worst one, that hopefully never happens, but if it happens, Sami can sort of save the day. Okay? Without that, you would only need to save and load on this game, I mean on this mission, but with Sami we can actually don't save and load, and just do reaction strats. Sensei also has an extra movement on landers, transport units in general, which is the reason why he's used. Even though he has less firepower with most things, he's the only one that can do this on 2 turns. So this is slightly faster than the one battleship against the world Sonja strat, which takes 1 extra day. Which is a lot of time because you need to see Adder moving all his units. But the other strat is completely safe. It never fails. This one can fail on very tiny situations. It will work most of the time. But there is a tiny chance you get an aggressive copter or something like that. Also, it's harder. You need to learn more reaction strats with Sami.
Mission complete.
Next. So, why that mission before the last mission of Blue Moon? Because if you beat Yellow Comet first, you can use Kanbei here. And Kanbei is extremely broken in general, and he's even more broken when you get pre-deployed units. Because the drawback of Kanbei is that his units are expensive. But what if you just start with a lot of units? You just get the best units in the game immediately, without spending any dime. So we're gonna do single tank. I'm building a soldier there in case the tank dies. If all your units die, in most missions, there are some exceptions, you're gonna lose. Okay? So the soldier is built in case the tank dies, so you don't lose. In this run, it won't die, but you know, we're doing all the strats a normal human being will do. Except for saving. So we're doing a setup here. The idea is that we advance this mech as fast as possible so we can cover the factory. You see, I'm using unit list there. I'm ignoring the infantry, but it's still faster to use unit list in general on the first turns. Then later the infantry is just too far away, so we're gonna start doing manual orders and things like that. Now we're gonna cover the silos, because that's very important, otherwise we're gonna get damage on our units. Plus the silo animation is stupidly slow. And we also want to kill infantries most of the time, every time we can. I'm moving the cursor there so the camera pans less on next turns. Every time you kill an infantry, the enemy wants to build another one. There's like a minimum quota of infantries that the enemy wants to have. And yeah, setting up there, this artillery can take the pipe on 2 turns. Because it's Kanbei. And then just wait for the next turn. And there you go.
Mission complete.
Whoa. Holy shit. Just look at the sumo best. So now we clean everything, we go to Green Earth, the hardest campaign. And we're gonna start with Sea Fortress. Sea Fortress, I expect this to be a big gold. There is a strat that you should always go for, and I always go for, where you can get this mission on 1 day less. It has never happened to me on runs, because you need to go for the strat and then get lucky. I've never got that amount of luck, but I always try to go for it, okay? I just haven't seen it on runs, but I know it's possible. Here we're gonna get it, okay? So you're gonna see it. Premiere it for the first time. Now, of course, most of these strats are already known, by the way. It's just, these are like adapting a lot of TIS strats to RTA runs. So you can actually do it on an actual speed run without using save states, okay? And of course, getting lucky, yes. But it can happen, you know? But a lot of this work has been done by Bigus Dingus, and a lot of, you know, this game has a big history of high scores, by getting missions the lower amount of days with maximum score. It has a very rich history of hundreds of players doing that for years. And so a lot of my strats are from that community, which I just adapted to be, you know, possible for humans. And one of the first things that happens here is that units can be shy here. So I talked long ago about shy copters, you know, defensive copters that go outside of your range of attack. That is at 10%. So the rule is 10% for cheap units, less than 10,000 price. But then for things that are over 10,000, the shy behavior is 20%. That includes fighters. If you get a shy fighter in this mission, your thing won't work. So I actually save on this, because the amount of time you lost to one single shy is really bad. And so on normal runs, I save on the first turn. And then double shy fighter, which is 1 on 25. It's impossible to do anything. So here, killing that missiles right there on one shot, that is the thing you want to get. Here we're gonna kill everyone on one shot. This can't happen on a run, by the way. The important ones are the ones behind. If you don't kill the ones on front, you can always use these copters. And that's why we advance copters as well. Okay. Now, this only works if you don't get any single Chai fighter. Okay? If you get at least one Chai fighter, you actually need to kill one of the anti-airs to get enough superpower. So a lot of things went well here. And this means you can kill things right here in one turn. Thanks to this copter. And again, this strat is possible. I haven't seen it on a run yet, but I always go for it. It might happen eventually on a run.
Mission complete.
You usually get an extra turn. Just to finish those. Okay, so Drake's Dilemma. Drake's Dilemma, we need to send 2 battleships on a mission to kill the cannons. You saw me moving some of my submarines there. That's, if you don't move them, Hawk is gonna kill them. And that's 4 attacks. You know, 2 attacks per turn. That's actually enough time to be slower than moving them. It's like 3 seconds. So if you're fast at moving them out of the way of indirect fire, it actually saves time. The second thing, so these are strats I developed, is making a tank here. So a tank with this guy, we're gonna cover one of the silos. Silo animation is really slow. Really slow. So if you can avoid it, you definitely want to. And making a tank and moving it is faster than watching a silo fire. And we actually save 2 silos, because if you cover the silo that is closer or farther away from your base, units will get stuck on that one and won't go for the other. So that saves like 10 seconds. It's actually very handy. And it's pretty easy. The only thing you gotta do is you have to do the specific movement I'm doing here, otherwise your tank is gonna get trapped. Okay, because there's gonna be a guy on the base. So it matters how you move it. Here, that movement right there has to be like that, otherwise you get trapped. And then you just rest during Hawk turn. The one thing you need to be wary of is passing turns with Kanbei using select. So here you are on top of a unit, you can actually use select to open the menu. So not a lot of people know that, but yeah, select has a functionality, and there are scenarios where it's useful, like there for example. That way you don't need to move your cursor and you can open the menu from anywhere. It shows a lot in missions where you don't, like, you already finished what you are supposed to do with one guy, one of your commanders, and then you just need to pass turns. And why is it useful to do that? Because, okay, in this case, like, a lot of people like to move the cursor to an empty square, but the thing is that empty square might be covered by an enemy unit next turn. So if you get used to select menus, you will never fail, okay? You don't have to react to anything. You don't have to think where your cursor is. And you see, this is possible thanks to Kanbei. Kanbei has a lot of defense, so most units from Hawk decide to don't attack the tank, because he's on a high defense style, plus the high defense of Kanbei. So no one wants to attack that tank. It's kind of funny.
Mission complete.
Yeah, you see that level is pretty optimal on my runs. It's a 2-second goal. Okay, Rain of Fire. Even though my cursor here on the overworld is closer to the rescue, we do Rain of Fire first because it's an RNG bottleneck. You wanna get this level out of your system as fast as you can, because you might need to reset the run here. This level has a big RNG bottleneck the only way to get it is at 20%. There's a 20% chance of success on this level. It might be even a little bit lower because you actually need to roll another time for an anti-air. But basically there is a tank that can be built on 2 locations. Tanks have 5 different AIs. Only one of those AIs will build on the upper location, which is the turtle AI, also known as the weird build base location. That's a 20%. If you don't get it, you save and load. Simple as that. And then you keep opening the commander menu to advance RNG once every time. I get runs where I get this like 7th time and it's still PV, just because, you know, it's the way the level is. Here we got it first try, of course, because, you know, HRT. But if the tank goes down, this strat is impossible, and then you're adding like, I don't know, 2 minutes to this mission. It's just not worth it. And of course, we're using recons because they are the fastest units. 8 moves. It's a lot of movement. So setting up here. These recons are gonna set up to make a good house for my infantry. So that anti-air right there, you hate to see that on runs. Here it doesn't matter. But if you see it on runs, you are actually saving a second time. That anti-air can decide to go down or to the left. If it goes down like this, you need to pray, or actually save and load, for one of the recons to attack one of your recons and the anti-air to attack the other recon. So you still have 3 recons after this. With only 2 recons, the strat doesn't work. Okay? And in this scenario, you need to do this pattern right here. The most damaged recon goes there. That's because the tank that got constructed is last on the unit list. So it's the last one that is going to move. You see there? It killed the recon after everything else moved. So nobody is in range of attacking your guy. And that's why you put the lowest HP recon there. It's just an insane strat. It's crazy that this thing is even possible. And this is super old, by the way. We just haven't found anything better. Like, I adapted reaction strats on RTA. You know, when certain details go bad. But the spirit is still the same as the super old strat. So here, we're actually gonna do a modern strat, which is actually an old strat too, but modern for RTA, which involves moving Sammy. So this is Sammy kills one of the lasers strat, and it's fully functional 100% of the time. You just need to follow the steps. And I adapted some things, like moving the transport copter to lure attack from this thing right here. And also I adapted some things so Adder will always do the same things. And the only thing you need to react is whether a bomber is on range of your fighter or not. And if it's not, you just move your fighter one more time. So it's fine. Everything else works perfectly, and this strat saves a lot of time compared to just using Eagle and not moving Sammy ever, which used to be the older strat on RTA. So we basically do the quote-unquote TIS strat now on RTA, the adapted TIS strat. It's very cool. I love it. So here we kill some stuff. We damage an extra bomber, because if you don't damage the bomber, he's on power range. You don't want that. And if you damage one bomber, he's just outside of super power range. So he won't use his power. That way he's gonna get super on next turn, and that's actually good. You'll see why. So here, those copters go for that APC. So on Advanced Wars 1, enemies will always prioritize transport units. Almost no exception. Or I think just no exception. Regardless of them having or not something inside. On Advanced Wars 2, they sort of patched that. APCs and transport units, transport copters are last priority on attacks. Landers are still priority, whether they have something or not. But then, if they have something inside, you know, APCs or transport copters, they will be max priority. Okay? So in this game, we actually need to load those things. We need to put a guy inside, and then the enemy will go for them. And that's why I moved my transport copter there, so the fighter doesn't, you know, go harass my bomber. And it's 100%. It's always gonna work. And so on this power, why it's important that he gets a power here, because these copters, you're gonna see them, will attack my missiles. Indirects are also priority, and for air units, they will prioritize a missile over a rockets, because a missile can kill them, the rockets not. So you see, these copters, they move so much thanks to the superpower, and they will always go for that missile, which is amazing. This is 100% work all the time. I love it. Hello, Nana, how's it going? So you see, in this strat, you don't even use superpower. You also see me there using a lot of B-scrolling, the fastest way to move here. Because if you use unit list, you have to go through a lot of units. It's kind of slower. Okay, Eagle, Andy, Sonja. We use Sonja because Camp Bay units are too expensive for the mission we have here. And Sensei has reduced firepower on ground units. So we got 3 guys here, and all of them have specific tasks. And this task is to use the missile silos and prevent Hawk from using them, and then just surviving, because if all his units die, you lose. Eagle mission is to take cannons and draw fire from Hawk, you'll see later. And then Sonja's mission is to destroy the pipe. Okay? We're gonna make a fighter here. And then this APC is gonna go for the farthest missile silo. Meanwhile, Sonja needs to get some money. Enough money for rockets and a lander. So here we're gonna land close to the silo for the next turn. She's still getting money. This is the longest mission in the game, by the way. Both speedrun and casually. This mission usually takes like 2+ hours for casual playthrough. And in the run, I think it's like 11 minutes. I don't remember. It's the longest one by far. It's just such a big map, and you start with nothing. Okay, so we're using missiles on fighter. We need to get this fighter to 4 HP. If he has 4 HP, it will never attack Eagle's fighter. If it's on 10 or 7, it can attack it. Okay? On full HP, we'll always do it. On 7, sometimes we'll do it. And sometimes it's enough for an RTA runner to, you know, cover it. So putting the fighter right there prevents some copters from going down, which is what we want. We want copters to be non-aggressive for the most part. We still don't have enough money for a lander. So we just move the rockets there. You see, most copters are staying kind of far away from the part below there, which is what we want. And now we get our bomber. This bomber's mission is to take out the cannon. This Neo tank has a double purpose. So the first purpose is to just survive. A Neo tank is the strongest unit. And just build one will make it so you will never die with Andy. But also it's gonna be just in range of one of the missile silos in case Hawk gets too cocky and wants to activate it. Almost never happens, but if you see that a guy gets too close to the silo with an APC, then you can always move your Neo tank close to it and just cover it, okay? So it's a reaction strat. Here we're doing it even though it's not gonna happen, because on a normal run you would do it, okay? As a reaction strat. So just there, it's actually on range of covering the silo in case we need it. Okay, so air units are gonna start to push a little bit. So as soon as they start to push, you wanna destroy things as much as you can without giving a power to Hawk, because you don't want extra units to be here. That's some lag from Beast Hawk, by the way. Don't worry about that. It's a laggy emulator sometimes. And then Andy's not gonna do anything else except for a reaction strat, but that's way later, you know? So you just move the cursor so the camera moves less every turn. Then those units are just gonna be sacrificed. It's the main reason why we build a Neo tank, of course. Otherwise you're gonna lose. There, the bomber is just outside of all the mini cannons. Lander keeps going. You can do it. There's still a lot of details and things that can happen. For example, these missiles right here can decide to go to the lander and then go very close to the last island where you do all your setups. And there are reaction strats for that. So that's one of the reasons why we put a soldier inside of the lander, because that soldier helps with that missile sometimes. Also, just in case the soldier is here to use the silo. But just in case, on the old strat it was a must. On this strat is a maybe. And don't do it most of the time. So it's pretty solid. Saving any silo animations is always very good because it's so slow. Yeah, getting rid of a lot of copters so they don't mess with my secret mission crew right here. And that's the last time we're gonna move that guy. Again, you just want it close to the silo in case something bad happens. So what bad thing can happen? That fighter right there might choose to be extremely aggressive. If that happens, you can use the silo to leave it on 7 and then kill it with your fighter. It usually doesn't happen. But if it happens, you have that on your sleeve. Now we're setting up these air units with Eagle for the next turn. They're gonna be prey for the mini cannon. Okay. So yeah, in this case we also got a very aggressive Neo tank. That also almost never happens. So mini cannons, they're actually not RNG. They have 0 RNG, they're fully deterministic. And they will always go for the most expensive unit. Here the bomber. And when there's 2 units that have the same price, they will go, I think it's from right to left, and from up to down, or down to up, but it's from right to left, okay? So that's gonna be important for the next missions. But here, you know, the bomber and the fighter, they're more expensive than the rockets. So that way the rockets is just completely safe. And then we only need 2 turns to finish the pipe with Sonya. So they're taking the fighter. And yeah, you see, things are getting very green. Like, there's a million units from Hog, and things are getting actually close to our crew. But we can finish this just in time. Gonna be the last turn. And there you go.
Mission complete.
That's a lot of time to save from my world. Holy shit. Okay. First black hole mission. Greet Eagle Sonya. Why Eagle Sonya? It doesn't matter. They're just the closest ones. Like the fastest ones to choose after Greet. We just need characters that have normal prices. Okay? So that's why we don't choose Kanbei. Greed, on the other hand, is a must. We need his range, his insane range, and his insane attack with indirects. Okay? That is the only thing that makes this possible. Like this so fast. So that's our first rocket. We're gonna do a lot of nothing turns, as you can see here. That's something very common on Advance Wars 2, because a lot of missions you start without pre-deployed stuff, contrary to Advance Wars 1. And so every time runners are doing that, it's because they need more money. Okay? So there's just no point on playing a turn. You just need to wait for the next turn to have enough money. And now we have enough money for a mid-tank. And then a mid-tank here. And so if you remember from the previous level, cannons will go for the most expensive unit. Rockets are 15,000. Mid-tanks are just the next one in the price list, 16,000. So it's just enough to be good prey for cannons. Now there's still too many cannons, so we're gonna have to destroy some of them in order to advance. Mini cannons do 3 damage to units, while the big cannons do 5. And then lasers right here also do 5. But they are a single line, so you can just avoid them. The other ones have an area, which is kind of harder to avoid. But yeah, setting up things so they're in good positions for the turn where we're gonna push. And it's really funny because on this mission, things are pretty much stuck inside the citadel. If you don't destroy the pipes, they can't really access you, so they just don't move because they can't do anything. It's so funny, and it's also so funny that Grid can just attack things from outside because his range is insane. This is the last setup turn. Next turn we're gonna push. So yeah, his entire army is just sitting inside. Time to push. Bomber is also gonna draw damage. It has just enough firepower, even with greed, to kill that cannon and also draw damage. And positioning here is kind of important, again, because of the rule from right to left. If you move things, some tiles differently here, one of your rockets might get attacked, so always remember to do exactly what how I plan it. The last setup turn, putting rockets just in range. And then here's the magic, you only need 2 tanks per extra commander because you can join 2 of them. Okay? There was an old strat where you would do a 3rd tank with Sonja, but you don't actually need that because you can just join 2 of Eagle. Plus, you can actually receive damage from on the rockets as long as every rocket attack once full HP. That's why Grid is also important. He does 66 damage into these things. Then our rockets with 5 HP will do 33, which is just enough for the 99. Only Grid can do this. Do you see? Those get damage, doesn't matter. As long as it's after the first damage. That's also the other reason why we don't need a 3rd mid-tank with Sonja. And there you go.
Mission complete.
And now Final Front. Final Front. It's kind of a controversial mission. It can be complicated, so we're gonna do a new strat. Again, this strat was developed by other player for high score, and I adapted it for speedrunning. And it's faster and safer than the previous one. The previous one used to be calling Eagle Sonja. You would use calling because of his cheaper prices. You would get 1 turn earlier to the laser. Here instead, we're gonna get 1 turn later, but Kanbei has more firepower, so he can still kill the thing on one shot. So it's the same number of turns. Plus, Kanbei has extra defense, and that's gonna become handy. You'll see why. So Andy doesn't do anything. We just move his cursor, so we have less camera changes. There's a lot of things when you are speedrunning this level. A lot of things you need to pay attention, where things get built and things like that. I'm not gonna go into too much detail on that, if any, because that's probably better for a tutorial. But you need to pay attention to some things, so you do reaction strats. So we do a bomber. Kanbei's bomber is the one that's gonna destroy the laser. And then Olaf bomber, by the way, it can be anyone that has less defense than Kanbei. Olaf is just the closest one on the commander menu. And then the soldier is made because we're gonna sacrifice the bomber, most likely. You still don't know, but most likely. Actually, no, not most likely, because it's most likely that you won't sacrifice it. But if you sacrifice it, you need an extra unit so you don't game over. Okay? So remember, things go from left to right, from down to up, if it's the same unit. Even if one of those is technically more expensive. If it's the same unit, that is the order. And that's why that cannon attacked Olaf, not Kambei. So in the case of the calling strat, it was never about the price, but about just AI priority. Okay? And now we're gonna move this thing up, because we still don't know where a fighter is gonna get built. Now here, we see it. The fighter is on main. And here's something. Fighter on main is actually a slower strat. It's at 20%, no, at 40%. I decided to leave it on the TIS, even though it's slightly slow, just to show you how safe this strat is. Because on the old strat, if you get a fighter on main, you're fucked. You need to save and load. And it's like 30 something seconds that you're losing, because you need to watch an entire turn. Here though, watch what happens. We're gonna move Olaf here, just outside of cannon range, so we don't see the animation of the cannons, because it's slow. And then this goes for that. That's because enemies prioritize lower defense units. And Kambei has a defense bonus. Olaf doesn't. So that means that fighter is always gonna go for that bomber, making this try way safer than the other. You don't need to save. And that's kind of why I left it, just to show that. But yeah, 60% of the time you get the fighter on like the right side of the map. And that's it. Then you match. Currently on the leaderboard, we have the timing method after this matching. In my opinion, it doesn't, like, I have a mixed opinion about it. I'm kind of alright with it. I also think it would be nice to have it just immediately after the dead ray explodes. I don't really care too much. I mean, I think it's kind of both hype and bad to match at the end of the run. I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. It's hard to decide. Now, is it gonna be a sub 115? I actually don't know. It might not be. I think it's not gonna be. I think it's barely gonna be over. Is it? Oh shit. I don't know, maybe. Hard to tell. Actually not a gold. Probably because I chose to leave the slower strat. The slightly slower strat. That's fine though. And yeah, that's the HRT, human restricted TIS of this game. It's way lower. Like, it's way lower than my PV, and it's way lower than the Sumo Best. Again, mostly because I'm the only modern runner right now. You know, with modern strats. And I think most of the time saves, honestly, are from, like, perfect reaction time. Like, for example, on the lesbian mission on Amir Darkly, there's a lot of reaction strats. A lot of, what do I attack first? And on a run like this, you know immediately what to attack first. And that makes a big, big difference. I think most golds here are because of that. On the, you need to think a little bit strats. And things like that. And then there might be like 30 seconds of not saving, maybe. or so. You know, it's like 4 seconds per save. Of course, the rest is, you know, getting everything first try, but that's already on my goals, sort of. But yeah, that is cool. I should be able to beat my PV eventually. I'm gonna save these, please. Now, there's still like a couple of ideas I have actually that I didn't put here because I just thought about them like yesterday. I might take a look at them now. I just want to test some things on the last level and on what's it called? Great Sea Battle. And then the other thing is an alternative strat for 2-week test. So we have the safe strat, quote unquote, the 2-week rest strat, just don't do anything. But you can actually capture the HQ, which is what the TIS do, and high score do. I just don't know how much luck you need for that. Like how many things need to go right for that. It might be a lot. Thank you for G's. Looking for our playlist. Normal campaign. Two-week test in 7 days. So it's like one week test. Yeah. Sort of. I mean, yeah, you're right. Now, I wish it only was Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire is the biggest... It's the biggest one because the percentage is very low. It's at 20%. And you also need to wait an entire turn to see if you get it or not. So every attempt adds some time. Now, sadly, that's not the only thing that has to go correctly. There's a lot of RNG bottlenecks in this game. So you need to survive Orange Star. There's 2 there, at least. More or less. The big one is Flag Attack. Then, and here's the first really big reset, are on Sensei Return, Silo Scramble. And it's basically like, I call this the gauntlet. So there's a gauntlet of a lot of RNG bottlenecks that we put all together in order to save IRL time. So it's Sensei Return, 81% of success. Silo Scramble, 60%. Toy Box, which is really weird to put on percents, but maybe like half the time works. Reclamation, which is like 75% of success, or maybe 80. All those together. Then you still need to get lucky on 2-week test. Hopefully get lucky on, what is it? The Hunt's End. Then get lucky on Sea Fortress. Don't get Chai. fighters, and then finally Rain of Fire, which is the 20%. And then after that, you still need to get lucky on the last mission. Works most of the time, it's better than the previous strat, but it's still not 100%. Planets might align to fuck you up. I've seen it on practice. Okay. Now science time. Alright, let's go to the last level. Ooh, fatal error. Okay. Japanese, wait, what is this? Okay. Oh, it's fine. Okay. Weird. So what I want to test is not building the guy until the end, because that's gonna prevent smart AI from moving earlier. Yeah, for example, this tank right here. That's a smart AI. So only doing a bomber. Missiles in main. So it's like, yeah, check if you get that. If you don't get it, you don't build anything. I guess I can technically just do this. Oh, you're still in range. I guess it's 2 down. Yeah, it's 2 down. Because the range is until here. Yeah, this might be better. Might be better. Like just slightly. Trying to be better. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here. Here. One more loop here. I have a second save state that has a different RNG. By the way, this strat you can always you can also do it with Eagle on front instead of Kanbei, because he also has bigger defense. But it takes more time in the commander menu. 1 extra scroll. It might be good for 100%. Because, you know, you can add like more stuff. With Eagle, I guess. This is interesting. I think this mid tank might not move without an infantry. Yeah, that saves time actually. Just not building the infantry immediately. Just react to building it. If we get a bad fighter. This tank also doesn't move. So that way all the smart AIs don't do their thing. I also think it kind of prevents this from body blocking here. Yeah, so here I need to be a guy because fighter is on main. Now here's a problem. I don't think this reaches. It doesn't, yeah. Okay, so this needs to be different. Yeah, I should go for this. Okay. Wait, how do I know this? It's with the fighter. Oh, you. Oh boy. Yeah, this is kind of hard. Because of this fucking tank. Yeah, having the extra tank is not cool. Yeah, I guess I should keep the other, just do the guy anyways. And pray for no body block. Well, even with body block, like, I found reaction strats for body blocks. Oh, it doesn't matter. Like, the guy will move last. Yeah, okay. I'm not entirely sure. It's complicated. Oh, you don't reach. Okay, no. Then I need to do the guy anyways. Okay. So the new idea won't work. I need to build an early guy. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Oh my god. Okay, what I want to try here is just doing one bomber. kind of a crazy strat that I don't think is gonna work, but because it kind of depends on what the fighter decides to do. I guess I can do a reaction fighter. If this fighter seems bad. Yeah, and I probably don't need that as well. Like this one, also kind of optional. Here I still don't know if the fighter is gonna go aggressive or not. So the first missile we just do it, then react to fighter. Okay, that looks like a passive fighter. So then I just keep going and whatever. Not an APC. I mean, no, not a Neo tank. Such an early bomber here. Kinda crazy. That's just so Hawk doesn't use it. Alright, chat. Source 2. I need to be sure that I'm not just messing around. 22k times 0.7. It's more than 50. Okay. So, should work. Where's the fighter? Okay. It pushed. That's good. I don't like these copters, of course. That should be fine. And I'm thinking that I probably don't even need the soldier. Okay, so push copters, that sucks. This right here, that really sucks. Yeah, that's the end of the idea. Yeah, because without these copters, this could work. This bomber takes 2 shots. But I can't really do it like this. One option would be to have a transport copter. But then, like, the whole idea of this... it's to save movement from one unit. You know, from the fighter in this case. That would just be adding movement to another unit. A worse one, so, no. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Wait, what? What is this? There you go. This Bigus Dingus video. For 2-week test. Oh, that's a lot of manips. Okay, the guy probably doesn't matter. Like, I can probably just do 2 APCs, 2 guys. Okay, so right here we need a tank that pushes towards HQ, apparently. And then artillery, I don't know what that artillery is yet. Yeah, this tank is just gonna push the small tank. There you go. I don't know if this mid tank is push as well. I think it is. And I have no idea what that artillery is. I believe that's not push towards HQ. I think it's something else. Oh, maybe I do need a mech. So things prefer to go for the APC instead. Like that, and like that. Oh, I guess it's to move the APC. Yeah, okay. That's a 50-50. So first we got a 50-50, then we got a 20% of tank. That sounds really rough. Their comment. The improvement was made rather recently, as it requires substantially more luck than the 8-day clear. Huh, there's another one, okay. Last tank must move 1 north, 5 west on day 3. Okay, so that's push. But I think if you have push, this will always happen. The second one. Artillery should move 5 west on day 3, then 5 west on day 4. Yeah, that's probably just one. Mid tanks must move on day 4. Large units must not attack your bottom right mech on day 5. PC must move of her HQ. Yeah, that's a 50-50. Must attack your right PC on day 6. Rockets on day 5. Either her rockets. One of her infantry must misfire. Okay. Now this is to get 300. I don't care about 200. So I need less luck, but still a lot. Okay, so... No, wait. Okay, APC. Okay, so tank gets decided here. Okay, that's the push tank. I don't know what artillery this is yet. Probably don't need more than this. Oh, look at that. Interesting, so the push does change. Yeah, if the push changes, it's kind of rough. Because then there's no way this is gonna work. Just, I think, literally no way. Can I get like one more APC? Oh boy. Yeah, no, I think this is wretched. There's too many AIs that need to go correctly, and like you need push AI on at least two things. That's 20% and 20%. So 20% of 20%, that's 5%. Plus at the end you need an APC to move, so that's half. Then 2.5, and then on top of that you need the push AI to don't be aggressive, which I don't even know what the percentage of that is. So that aims for a probably less than 2% chance. Just, yeah. I don't think, yeah. Yeah, it sounds a little bit too impossible for me. Do they have any other ideas? I don't think so. Gare, what the fuck? I think that was the last idea I had. Let's see, there's some ideas in the comments. Gare, please. Day 1 do infantries, day 2 APC plus mech. Mess was dropping range. 2 AI infantries. Need both misfire. It's also very funny with this mission because there's actually not a message, I believe, when you capture. Am I remembering that correctly? Oh, there is a message. Oh, but I think it's the same message. I think it's the same message, like, hey, how are you handling? Like, I came with with reinforcements, because I think developers didn't even think about this being captured. Imagine if that didn't even trigger a win condition. It would be crazy, because they didn't even thought about that. Would have been funny. Okay, that's good. Chat, that's gonna be it for me with Advance Wars 2. today. We're gonna upload the video later, probably during the night after the stream. I'll be right back, and I'll be back with PSO. Okay, just chill PSO. Let me find you a song.